Last year, I did the 12 Travels of Christmas series where I went to 12 exciting and unique attractions in Kingston and St. Andrew. It's that time again where I'll be visiting another 12 amazing attractions in the beautiful parish of St. Thomas. Tune in this evening at 7 p.m. Jamaica time for the beginning of another exciting series. One of the things that some people overlook when planning travel is on-the-ground transportation. Without proper planning, this can easily blow your travel budget. Instead of telling you what to expect and how to get around Mexico, I decided to seek advice from a local.
Hi guys, I'm here with my friend Raul.
Hi.
He is going to explain the transportation method in Mexico City.
Mexico City is a big city, as you probably know. Like, most of people will drive in cars, so this is kind of like America in that sense. But one thing is that, of course, a big chunk of the people that don't have cars will use other kinds of transportation. I believe that you can get anywhere with this kind of transportation. So this will be the subway, they call it the metro, the buses, regular buses, and you can also use taxis, which come in different versions. So one of the taxis that you can get is the regular taxis that you will see with literally the taxi word on it. And then you have the Uber and some other alternatives to Ubers that they got locally. What to use when you come to Mexico? Usually I would recommend Uber because people have used it before. They do have a good security laws, at least in general. Like, we can debate on that, but if you compare it to some more informal kinds of taxis, maybe Uber is better. So I do recommend for people that come to it as a tourist to Mexico City, do use the Uber. Also, you don't have to know a lot about the city. You can look at the map where you're going. Like, if you mark in the map, I want to go to this place, you can see that you're literally going to that place, so you feel better about that. You can use also the regular taxis. They're not like some people think they're untrusty. Some of those taxis might think, since you're a tourist, they might want to charge you more. So you have to be aware of that. Like, usually the strategy that I propose to people is that when you go to a regular taxi, the first thing you do is ask them how much it's going to cost to get them to the place, to your goal place, right? Like to your objective, whatever you want to call it. So because then in that moment you can negotiate with them. Okay, it's 100 pesos, it's 150 pesos, whatever it is. You know the fixed rate. You can compare it to other taxis, which you can stop right away there, or you can compare with Uber even, right? Like, Uber will tell you right away, like, it's gonna be 200 pesos, and maybe one of the other guys will tell you 150 pesos. Well, that's better. Now with regular taxis, I do recommend take them maybe daytime, not nighttime, just for security reasons. For security reasons, I do recommend to use Uber better. Mm-hmm. Again, Uber has some policy of, like, you can follow again where you're going. You do have, usually in Uber, you have a ways to contact the taxi if you left something there, for example. Maybe you forgot something.
Okay.
Some taxis will even bring you back the stuff. And sometimes they will leave it at the Uber headquarters here in Mexico City, and you can pick them up later too.
Oh, there's a headquarter here?
Yeah, there is. So
wow.
You can do that too. So there's that option. Whereby I believe that if you do with a regular taxi, they will just keep the stuff, right? So most likely. If you want to be very cheap and you're a very limited budget, yes, you can use the subway. It's not hard to use. It is secure. As long as you know where you're going, and as long as you can keep up with sometimes a little bit confusing routes, because when you're going through the subway, you know that some cities will have more like complicated subways than others, like, or tourist-friendly subway than others. Mm-hmm. I believe Mexico City, in terms of, it's called the Metro first, and in terms of prices, I believe is is very cheap because you pay once and you can use that trip. You can go around the whole city with that trip. Of course, when you get down, then you will have to pay it again to get in again, right? That makes sense. But it's not like, let's say, some other cities, like I've been in Japan, and you have to pay literally for every station you go through.
Oh.
So in that term, Mexico City subway is very cheap because you just pay once. 10 pesos, nothing really. Is how much is 10 pesos?
Less than $1 US.
It's less than $1. So if you're on a very limited budget, yes, you can use the subway. It will take you more time to get to places, but it's not that bad. Of course, remember, Mexico City is a big city. There's traffic problems. So also take that into account when you're early in the morning, when people are going to the work, or when they're returning around 5 or 6 or 7. The whole city will be collapsed in traffic. Also the subway, because a lot of people are moving around. So it's gonna be super filled. Like you're gonna be literally, everybody's together. Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, yeah, you're in a kind of a cage. You're like, oh. I do recommend in those situations always keep your belongings where you know they're safe, they're not easy to pickpocket you, those kind of things. And this applies everywhere. Even if you're in Japan, even if you're in France, even if you're in New York, you should always take your personal belongings where you can see them or you can touch them. So, for example, when I go to Subway, I always put my cell phones and my wallet on the front ones, and if I can, I touch them. Sometimes you can't, but at least you can see, you can feel better if they're in the front. It's not perfect. There will be, thieves that can even rob you from the front pockets, but that's another conversation to have. In terms of taking the buses, similar fares to Subway, but they are way more complicated. For example, there's clean buses, there are more secure buses. You will see them, and you will see that, oh my God, they're really new. They seem to be like people are sitting down there. There's not a lot of people using them. Like particularly here in Reforma, there's a lot of buses like that. Now, you also get buses that are really old. They're crammed with people, and those I don't recommend for tourists. First, nobody will help you. There's no tourist help there. Like the driver won't know English, for example. It's very hard for you to get someone that speaks English on the buses. They're confusing in terms of route. There's many routes. Even when you think you're in the right bus, suddenly they turn and it's like, oh no, they're supposed to be no. This particular specific bus doesn't go straight, actually crosses here and then go to some other place. So if you really don't know about buses and about the city, I wouldn't recommend ever to take a bus. So that's the one that I don't recommend at all for tourists. Now, when you know the city, when you are living here, then of course, yeah, use the buses. But even me, like I have 3 years here and I don't recommend the buses because they're really confusing. It's really, really confusing. In terms of hierarchy, Uber is cheap compared to other countries. Again, like I don't know how much we took to get here. Like that was less than 100 pesos, which is less than $5.
$5, yeah.
And we were like 20 minutes in the Uber. So you can see that it's not as expensive as, let's say, United States.
Yeah.
So take Uber seriously. Like it's a good alternative. It's secure. And it's easy to, no matter where you are, you can just call an Uber, right? And regular taxis are good. Just still, like, you need extra attention for it. Like, maybe you have to negotiate with the guy. Always ask first because, again, as a tourist, maybe they will tell you, you know what, this is 500 pesos. It's like, no, it's not 500 pesos. It's taking advantage of you as a tourist that you don't know about the city. And the subway is good. It's the cheapest one. But again, take extra carefulness. You have to know a little bit more about the city. There's an app for the metro that will tell you the different stations, which one to shift with, like shift to different stations, different lanes. Google Maps works really well here. So if you're going to a specific location in the Mexico City, you can take the mass transportation section of Google Maps, and you can see bus lanes, subway lanes. They mix each other, but I do recommend go only for the subway ones, and you'll be fine. just take extra attention on the routes, even between when you're in the station. Some stations are more confusing than others, so just pay attention where you're going. If you're going to the right direction, if you need help, maybe you can find more people. Like some metro stations or subway stations do have some information section where you can ask stuff. So maybe you can take advantage of those. But as long as you use Google Maps and stuff, I think you're gonna be okay. And that's the cheapest option. So if you're a really limited budget where you really have your money really counted, then the subway is the only option that you have. Just as an extra thing, security in Mexico City is about the same as if you were in any other big city. Like there's places where nothing happens, don't worry about it. But again, there's places where crime is very high. But that's the same, let's say, to New York City. So don't think Mexico City as this super dangerous place. Is not actually the place where we at right now. Nothing happened. People are free, like nothing will.
And
Like,
it's
you won't get
almost,
robbed.
and it's after 12.
Yeah, and if after 12 you can walk here, nothing's gonna happen to you. But there are some specific places in Mexico City where, crime is pretty high. Don't get in near there. So, the general recommendation: just research where you're going. Ask the locals, is this a safe place? If they say yes, then you're gonna be fine. But as in every city, and as every big city, take care of your belongings. Don't leave them hanging around. Don't think this is some Nordic European country where nothing happens, or Japan where people are like, they leave your stuff, they don't touch it. No.
Yeah.
So at least on that time, just take your stuff. Always pay attention to your stuff, but it's not gonna be like someone will come with a gun and rob you, or you're gonna get killed. No, nothing like that will happen. You're gonna be fine.
That's it for transportation in Mexico City. I hope you'll have a great time when you get there.